My next guest this morning is an author, a church minister, also an atheist. An intriguing combination, that. Her contradictory position as someone who doesn't believe in God and leads a church congregation divides opinion. She says she was banned from a conference in Newcastle recently because of her controversial standpoint. Well, she's not banned from here. Good morning. Gretta Vosper is the name. Welcome to BBC Radio Oxford.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let me just start. All good stories, I think, should start at the beginning. So, your beginning, you were a conventional church minister, weren't you?
I guess so. I would go by what the definition of conventional was, but yes.
You signed up to believing in God.
I signed up to, when I was ordained, I had finished being educated at a liberal theological seminary in which I had been taught that the Bible was a human construction and that everything that flowed out from the Bible was a human construction on top of that human construction. So my belief in God at the time would not have been in a supreme being or a deity that lived in a supernatural realm, but more what exists between you and I that we can choose to make sacred or that we can desecrate and find ways to use one another.
So as the time has gone on, what's changed?
What's changed is the recognition that although what I was preaching was very much in keeping with the contemporary scholarship that I had been taught and continued to read, but that what I was wrapping that with in the context of public worship continued to be mired in ancient theological terms and traditions and beliefs and doctrine. And so over the course of the last 10 to 12 years, we've removed that from the services at the congregation I lead. And my beliefs around what God means or is in people's lives, it has shifted to the point that what underpins those beliefs and what perhaps those beliefs might guide people to are the elements that we lift up. So we lift up love, we lift up compassion, we lift up the struggle that it is to live in right relationship with oneself, with others, and with the world. And those are the things that we struggle with, and we do it in a language that is what I call theologically barrier-free. So it doesn't presume a particular source for its inspiration.
Now you say you've taken away the sort of ancient liturgical elements.
Mm-hmm.
If I came along to one of your services, what would I notice? What would be the first thing that struck me as this isn't the usual?
Well, the first thing, one of the things that's interesting about that is that people who do show up at the church who have no idea who I am and have never heard of anything called progressive Christianity, it's often weeks or months before they even notice that there is anything different. And then they'll sort of sidle up to someone and say, does she ever talk about God? And that person will say, oh, she's always talking about God. Or someone else might say, oh, no, never. Because it is that kind of a barrier-free space so that it's filled with people who have a traditional understanding of God or people who have no understanding and have no need to engage in a new understanding of it.
And what sort of reaction have you had to this gradual change in the way you do things?
It's been... It's varied, obviously. There are many of my colleagues will take me into another room and tell me that they're very pleased with what I'm doing, as long as they're not seen by anybody else to having been saying that to me. Others many who identify themselves as progressive and liberal can be quite vitriolic about it because I think they see that what I'm doing is undoing what they've spent the last 25 years doing. They've been coming up with metaphors and technical definitions of terms like salvation and resurrection and God, which allow them to continue using those terms. And I'm saying that not only was a waste of time, but it actually may be very, very detrimental to the health of the church and the importance of the work that we try to do.
If you were a Church of England minister and you were espousing the version that you espouse, I expect the management structure would be leaning on you going, can we have a word? Mm-hmm. Just step in here a minute while we discuss this. What church is it that you belong to, and what does the management of that have to say?
I belong to the United Church of Canada, and it's a denomination that was made of Presbyterians, Methodists, and Congregationalists back in 1925. It has a very broad umbrella. I obviously am probably the one teetering off one edge of it, and there are those who are teetering off the other edge, and both of us probably think the other one doesn't belong. But my presbytery, which is my overseeing body, had a vote around developing a group who would hear my beliefs, and that was defeated by 14 to 11, and half the presbytery refused to vote on it at the time. So there are those within my denomination who believe that I should not be able to continue, but there are many in the denomination and beyond, and in the Church of England, who believe that my ability to articulate my beliefs honestly and openly gives them permission to do so as well. I'm a director of the Clergy Project, which is a network for clergy who no longer believe. And there are many people who find themselves in pulpits who do not believe. There's also another group of people who do not believe in God in the Wikipedia understanding of God, but who use the term to describe a feeling of benevolence or a desire to do right that's instilled in one somehow. And those people, if we're talking about a theistic God, those people would be atheists as well. And that's why I use the term, because I think it's important to note that if you cannot answer the question or complete the sentence, when I use the word God, I mean a being who resides in another realm and has agency and can act in the world. If you don't answer that question that way, then you're an atheist, as far as my and most contemporary understandings of atheist mean. I
mentioned in my introduction you were supposed to be speaking in Newcastle, but you got rather uninvited.
Mm-hmm. I'm here. I've been brought here by the Progressive Christian Network Britain and Sea of Faith and non-theist friends, Quakers, who worked together, I think, for the first time to actually bring me here. And the start of the conference was to begin in Newcastle with a weekend conference there. But apparently when my name was shared with the venue, which I believe was a church, but I don't know which one, it was deemed not to be helpful to ecumenical relations to have me speak there. So that was cancelled at that point.
Well, as far as we know it, you haven't been declared unhelpful here in Oxford. Where can we hear you speaking in this area?
I'm actually at the end of the weekend, but at 11 o'clock this morning, I'm at the Somerville Chapel of Somerville College, and anyone is welcome to join us there to see what exactly it is we do on a Sunday morning in this with or without God church.
Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.